Good morning, everyone. It's Frith here again, and this is the 9th video in the LHP series I'm doing. And there's no time to lose today because I'm going to be talking about a very big topic, one that I think will resonate with nearly everyone who watches this. And today I'm going to be talking about addiction in general, but alcohol in particular, because that happens to be the nature of my particular addiction. Let me just get back to my notes. Right. Addiction, like everything in our world, is just not fully understood. I think most people understand the physical side of addiction and the emotional side of addiction, but a side of addiction that we don't tackle is the spiritual side of it, which actually happens to be one of the biggest components in the whole dis-ease of this affliction. And I'd like to venture a guess that everyone who's watching this is either struggling with an addiction or knows somebody who is struggling with addiction. I mean, this is a massive problem worldwide. And it's funny that people are so reluctant to talk about it. They're kind of embarrassed because, you know, so many of us are in the same boat. So my hope for today is that this vlog is going to help many people. That would be great. Right. So many addictions, so many things. I mean, the most common addictions are drugs, alcohol and nicotine. Those are the sort of not accepted ones, but you know. And then there are other things like food, either overeating or undereating, anorexia, or shopping, sex. There's also strange addictions like pulling out hair. I think there's a name for that. Hello, something another. Cutting, self-mutilation. These are all addictions, are attempt to ease the pain a little bit of being a human, basically, but also to deal with traumas that we suffer in life, in this lifetime, but also in many other past lives. It really does have an effect on us. But what we do is we're basically just putting a band-aid on a gaping wound. I mean, you know, it's just not a solution. Everybody knows that. But why is it so difficult to quit stuff? Right, let's talk about dark entities. Okay. First of all, what alcohol in particular? Now I'm just going to zero in on the whole substance alcohol. What it does is it weakens your auric field, your energy field. It creates tears in it. And these dark energies sort of can come into your auric field and sort of take root. And that's one of the pitfalls of addiction, is you open yourself up to these dark entities. But a root cause of many addictions is having dark entities in you that trigger addictions, because addictions create the most phenomenal amount of loosh. Now let's talk what is loosh. Loosh, it's spelled, I've seen it spelled two ways. It's L-O-O-S-H or L-O-O-S-H-E. And that is the name we give to the energetic frequency sorry, that we give off when we have really dark emotions like anger or fear or anxiety or sadness or depression. It's also very much rooted in dark entity attachment, depression. And these entities feed off this energetic frequency, because how did these things come about? These dark energies, well, they have fallen so far from the source energy, the life force energy that source provides to us over such a long period of time that they've actually been disconnected from the energy. And the only way that they can stay in existence is by feeding off the same frequency of energy that they vibrate at. So they keep people in a constant state of torment, and addiction is a torment. I mean, I've yet to meet a happy addict, you know, and they love it, you know, that that horrible internal conflict that goes on when you're addicted to something. You don't want to do it, but you do want to do it. Now where are you going to get it? You know, and some drug addicts, especially the hardcore ones like heroin, crack and all of that, their entire lives are dedicated to feeding these damn beasts, you know. It's a real tragedy. So that the entities, these dark energies, are a huge factor in addiction, and it's just not acknowledged or understood in our medical, in our health system. Right, I'm going to tell you about the nature of my particular addiction to alcohol. I actually talk about it in the interview that I did with Denny Hunt, and if you scroll back down on my timeline, you can actually find it, or you can go to his website or YouTube channel called Wit, and I go a little bit more into detail about, you know, how it all started. And that was basically, you know, in this particular lifetime, so I started drinking quite young, you know. I sort of worked away at this habit, addiction. It's not a habit, and certain things happened in my life that sort of accelerated it. But what happened was I had the session with Danny. Danny did some healing work on me, and it really worked. For 3 or 4 weeks, I had no desire to drink. I even did a 10-day detox. I was flying. My vibration was so high. It was amazing. I thought, yes, I've knocked this one. Wishful thinking. Because what happened then is that the summer holiday came around, and I started learning the protocol. I started reading the manual, and something bizarre happened. I just couldn't focus on this thing. I'd like read 2 or 3 pages, and my concentration drawn away, and make shopping lists, and I'm like, what the hell? Because anyone who knows me, I'm the most avid reader. I read through 3 or 4 books a week, and given the time, I can read a book through in a setting. You know, I just have that focus for reading, and I just couldn't read it. And I thought, what's going on here? At the same time, the urge to drink came back incredibly strongly. It was, and I knew it was a psychic attack. I just thought, oh, Frith, what have you let in? Although it hadn't come in yet, but there's more to it. I'm going to come to what was actually driving me. And one day, I was reading the manual, and I couldn't stay awake. I just was yawning. I was like, and I was sort of forced into sleep. And I woke up, and it was like I saw myself frog marching my way to the shop to buy beer. Beer happens to be my particular poison of choice. And I'm like, what are you doing, Frith? But it was irresistible. And so I drank that day, and it's like opening the door and saying, hey, come back in again. If you reuse your substance, you know, you're letting back in the dark nasties. And so I thought, no, I need to get in touch with Carl and ask him about this, because this is bizarre, you know. And so I emailed him. I'm actually going to do a vlog about Carl, you know, what his background is. He comes from a scientific background, etc., and how we got to develop the protocol. But what Carl does is, Carl is a channeler, and he channels Source Creator, which sounds incredibly like lofty, but apparently we're all supposed to be able to have direct link to Source, be in constant contact with Source. Because what happened, another vlog for another time, is that we've actually been deliberately disconnected. This connection, it works through our DNA. 10 of our DNA strands were sort of disconnected. And so we're very, very limited. We're sort of just 5 sense beings, where we should be multi-dimensional beings as humans. But those strands are coming online again, which is good news. Okay, so I asked Carl about this, and he told me that in a past life of mine, I was actually a healer, and I was put to death for it. You know, it was back in the day when if you had your third eye open, if you were a healer and a little bit like woo-woo, they sort of burnt you at the stake. And my subconscious, deep subconscious, was trying to protect me from going down this healing path again. by making it very difficult for me to learn this protocol. That's one part of the story. The other part is that the alcohol, it holds me back from realizing my potential. Every addiction does to everybody. It holds us back from growing and developing. So that's why the alcohol came back in. But it's goes quite a lot deeper with me. And it's 10 minutes already, but I've got to say this. Okay, so Carl then asked Source about my particular addiction to alcohol, and this is what came back. I'm going to read it to you. Not all of it. As you suspected from her description, this has become almost a self-defining characteristic, believed in totally, held onto tightly, with a significant part of her subconscious mind unwilling to let go despite repeated attempts to give up this destructive habit. Believe me, I've stopped so many times. It has deep karmic roots from times of despair, turning to drink as an answer to blot out the harsh reality of the present. Her struggles in this current life have been quite intense at times and awakened the need for a way to cope, and the subconscious mind has turned to this yet again as a means of getting by, not appreciating the long-term downsides aside she struggles with currently. This is a very typical scenario where people become their own worst enemy, with a part of the mind wanting desperately to avoid alcohol at all costs, while another part craves it intensely and commandeers the body to carry out the behavior to deliver the desired agent, in this case alcohol, in whatever form. This deep karma will require considerable effort to dislodge, but with her active desire for change, that increases the odds of a success. So that was, I thought, yeah, I knew that. I knew it. I knew that the root cause was really with me. And the good thing is that, and then he goes on to talk about how we can go about helping myself. And the great thing is that there is a way, and I have the will. So I'm going to be fine, people. I know I am. This is just a journey I'm on. And you know what? I'm embracing it fully. It's okay to be broken, man. We're all broken. It's okay. And I'm just so glad that I'm going to learn the lessons from this so that I can pass them on to you and maybe help people. But something funny has happened to the nature of my addiction as well since the healing from Danny. It just sort of doesn't work, alcohol, anymore with me. The drugs don't work. They make it worse. It tastes like shit, actually. Beer is just, I used to love beer, man, especially Bavaria. That was my brand. And it's like, it's sour. And I can't get drunk like I used to. I just get tired and fall asleep, and then the dark nasties have a bloody field day when I'm sleeping. So it's all happening. But for this process to have happened, I had to really start working on the spiritual side of things, because I tried talk therapy. I tried EMDR, that eye tapping. I tried, you name it, I tried it. And this is the only thing that's really making a difference, people. Please consider this aspect of it. If you are struggling with an addiction, or somebody you know struggling with addiction, this is the way to approach it. There are also other things that really help. Like, I know some friends who've been through the whole AA thing, and they've really recovered. And so you look for support. Please do. You don't just do this in isolation. One little tip about AA meetings is just go in there and protect yourself. Ask for you to be protected. Bring down some white light around you, because these dark nasties hang out at places like that. Just waiting for a week, finding somebody who's a little bit damaged and weak, and then they sort of hop on board. And they're also at places like psychiatric hospitals and in prisons. So just every day wake up and ask for divine protection to get you through your day. It can't do any harm, even if you don't believe in it. Right, so folks, there is hope. Yes, there's a physical addiction, which means you just don't put that substance in your body. That's probably the hardest bit. You need to, make sure that your physical body is not sort of craving it anymore. Then there's emotional side of it. Face your issues. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with the people around you. What I've noticed is the more honest I am, the more honesty I get back, and then you get a really nice energy going, and you know, that's where healing starts, is being honest with the people around you. And then the spiritual side of it is getting rid of these entities that are plaguing you. And the LHP is such a good tool for that. It goes through a whole process and steps of ridding your energetic matrix of these attachments. And I think that's about it. It's 15 minutes. But I'm going to sign off now. Before I do, I hope you all have a lovely day. And I'm going to ask Source Creator if he could protect this work and to bring it out there, and that it reaches the people that really need to hear it, and that this sets them on the road to recovery, to overcome their addictions. And I'm actually getting quite emotional. So I'm going to sign off.